All right, so we're back with another podcast here. This time, Loremaster of Sotek is on for a second round. Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. And this time, we actually have the footage of Vermintide. So you guys have something to watch while we talk. So it'll be kind of a hoot. So we're doing Stromdorf.
Yes, let's go to Stromdorf. I have not been there yet. It sounds fun.
You want to do it on hard then? It's the highest difficulty
Yeah.
I can do.
Oh well, I'm not a total. Yes,
It's the highest one, all right. Jeez.
I refuse to do anything less than hard. That's just boring.
Just as a quick reference, guys, he's level 156. I'm but level 23. Shit. Okay, and play. Do we want to just do us or?
Yeah, that's fine.
Starting it up. So before we started the recording, Loremaster and I were talking about like the vampire counts, like founding bloodline, lords, generals, heroes, whatever you want to call them, like Ashoron, Abhorrash, Zacharias. Isn't Zacharias the one for Neckarks?
No.
Yeah, Osoran. That's right. Wait, what?
So you have Ushoran, who's the Strigoi line,
Right?
and you have Zoran, who's the Neckark line.
That's right. Yeah. And then Zacharias was his pupil.
Yeah, well, he had, I forget what his name was. There was a pupil before Zacharias who tried to kill Wazoran, and then Wazoran ate it.
Yeah, disappeared.
And became him.
Right.
And then he took on Zacharias as an apprentice, and Zacharias also
did the same thing.
But Zacharias got the shit kicked out of him, and then he went and got a zombie dragon and came back and won.
It's funny because
so it's a mystery whether or not that's actually Zacharias or whether it's just Wazoran again.
Well, it's funny too because it's like Neckark vampires are the closest thing we get in this game to like Sith lords. Like,
oh yeah,
one master, one apprentice.
Where are we going?
Do it right here.
Oh, okay. I was like, how do you get past this beach?
For a second too, I was like, what the hell? We were talking about that in like relation to the possibility of those lords coming into the game, and I think we're both in agreement that if they were to add like an Ashoron or an Abhorrash, it would be not fair or fun, I guess.
Well, like, how could you put them in the game and do them? Well, I don't know. Like, I could see Neferata, who's the founder of all vampires, being in.
Right.
But her powers are also a little less battle focused.
True.
So it's a little less ridiculous. Whereas, like, Ushoran was like a horrifying giant bat monster of a guy.
Right.
Like, he was like Vargulf sized, I think, when he died.
Yes. Like, to be honest with you, the Strigoi Ghoul King model in the game, I was like, really? That's the size they chose for it? Because like in the books, like it's like this huge thing that's hulking over like a crypt, with a bunch of little tiny goblins or ghouls like clamoring at its footsteps, and those ghouls are very small by comparison. And in the game, he's really not that big at all.
Yeah, well, I think they probably went based on.
Oh like, God, I'm getting just destroyed. Oh, thank you.
It's okay, I gotcha. Oh, there's a swarm coming. I think they tried to make it more like kind of what you would expect from tabletop, the Strigoi models that were released.
Right.
Strigoi kind of shrunk down a little bit.
True.
But I think they tend, because they're the bestial breed, I think they tend to be one of the ones that the older they get and the stronger they get, then they probably get bigger.
Yeah, I would say so.
So it could just be that until Warhammer, you just don't get to use the super awesome ones, that can rival other large creatures. But then again, vampires are also shapeshifters, so they can cheat. So. Well,
and have you heard the thing about how like, whoa, it's got a serious graphic artifact. So vampires, it's all about like, it's basically a book about the Tomb Kings and what they feel like. I think it's like the 7 or 8 spirits of the body. And I can't remember what book it's in. Someone brought it up in the subreddit, and how vampires are basically, they have to consume blood to revitalize themselves with, like, there are different stages of undead. Like a zombie only has its body, whereas the skeleton retains some of its awareness of living. And if like you've got these 7, 8 stages, whatever it is, like states of being more or less, vampires have all of them except for the last one that they have to get from sucking blood. If they don't, they turn like bestial and feral, and they have to fill themselves with dark magic. And that's what happens to the Neckarks. They choose not to consume blood, so dark magic fills them, and the Strigoi consume corrupted blood, which makes them, you know, beasts of the night.
Yeah, Strigoi are most. I don't know if most people are aware, but the reason that they're my favorite blood.
Really?
I guess Necrarchs are my favorite bloodline. I would say, but Strigoi are a close second.
All about Aborash, man. Blood dragons.
I don't really like Aborash that much.
He doesn't like you.
He's this really weird character, and Grant, it's the reason I would say I don't like him that much is because he was never really well fleshed out.
No, not at all. Not at all. He didn't have his own series or anything cool. Nothing really ultimately tragic happens to him.
And you know, the worst part is he was supposed to. His book was already scheduled to come out, and then they dropped it because the end time schedule started.
I remember that, and I was pissed because he is my favorite.
Yeah, because he was the closing book of the Vampire series.
Yeah, the Vampire trilogy, the Vampire Wars.
Yeah. Not the Vampire Wars. That's a different series of books. That one actually finished, I think.
Yeah,
because he was.
I thought you were saying there was more to that one. Holy crap! There's another one.
Yeah, there's the Vampire series where you have first book's Neferata, second book is Master of the Dead, which focuses on Wazoran.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Shorin. And then the third book was supposed to be Aborash. He still shows up a lot in the other two books,
and in the end times.
But he was supposed to feature, you know, the third book was supposed to take us into the modern era.
Oh,
whereas, you know,
dude, I just got straight up shot in the vag. Oh my god,
dude, the battlefield's a dangerous place. I'm gonna pretend. Well, no, we don't have friendly fire on, so it couldn't have been me.
Could not have.
As much as the dwarf probably would.
Dude, seriously, man. We got before the stream started. We got in a fist fight in the tavern. And he just multiple vag punches to the vag, and it just put me down.
Well, when you're this height, you don't have a lot of options.
Cheaters. That's how you won the War of the Beard. Just non-stop dick punches.
The old ones put us at a natural advantage.
Bastards.
Your Master Molder, where is he?
Uh-oh. What was I gonna say? Abhorrish. Well, like Abhorrish is almost like the Ned Stark of like vampires, because he was all about like honor and everything like that, and he's like, I will not eat that blood. I won't do it, and then just gets pwned. But imagine if they added him. What would
here's the thing. I would much rather have characters who have established lore and have like interesting things we can draw from that. Like instead of Aborash, who, like, if you put in the game, one of two things are going to happen. Either A, you're going to make him too strong, and he's going to be kind of ridiculous and not really fit into the game that well.
Exactly. He's just souling sun dragons.
Or he's going to be well balanced, and everybody's going to hate him because he doesn't feel like Aborash.
Exactly. It's like dropping a Space Marine into the game.
Yeah, like, I feel it would be much better for the game to... Like, we've already got the Red Duke, who isn't guaranteed to be a Blood Dragon, but it's heavily insinuated he's a Blood Dragon.
I thought he was. Like, from the Red Duke
I don't remember who bit him.
Well, isn't it 4th edition when he goes... He's a... Oh, no, I'm thinking of one of the Harkons who goes to the Red Keep. That's not the Red Duke at all.
That's who I would actually prefer instead of Aborash, is Wallach Harkon.
To get both the Harkons, Harkon Brothers as a DLC would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be hilarious, but I don't know if we... Well, and there also is the point of, like, I would love to have all of the legendary vampires, but holy crap, the other races need some love. The vampires already have, like, so many lords. Yeah,
and they're all great. Like, I was talking in the Discord, and how...
I don't know, I don't like Gorse that much.
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant the vampire lords, like the actual vampire lords. And how each one of them, like, okay, you can't go wrong with any of the Von Karsteins. Any of them.
No, they're great. I really am tired of Von Karsteins, though. I think we're good on Von Karsteins.
Well, I was kind of upset with the advent of 6th or 7th when they dropped Bloodlines entirely. Like, it's 7th, right? Or 6th?
7th, they stopped... They still existed, there just wasn't a cookie cutter.
Right.
A cookie cutout that you could just, like, buy. Like, in 6th edition, you could just grab a lord and say, I want him to be a Strigoi, and it just gave him upgrades for a certain amount of points. They stopped doing that. Instead, it was, much more customizable, and you could make your lord themed after a lord, but there wasn't that, you know, pre-made set.
Right, you didn't have the bloodline abilities.
That being said, I do agree with you that a critique I have of 8th edition is that it basically stopped being the vampire. Well, it became the vampire count book, meaning only the actual vampire counts and no others.
Von Karstein's.
Yeah, like, sure, and even then, like, among Von Karstein's, it only talks about, like, the big ones. Like, you're hard-pressed in that book to really find that much information about all the minor ones.
Yeah, because you don't... What's his name was almost completely fallen to the wayside. The one Berserk one. The 2 swords, the blood dripping down his mouth, his mouth.
There's Red Ogre, we should probably group up.
Yeah,
I found him!
Oh... Well, that's... But imagine that applying to, like, Total War Warhammer. Like... Oh... Not many factions have, like, their lords fleshed out as well as, like, there's a lot of lore for a lot of different lords in vampire counts.
Yeah, the vampire... Yeah, even in just the lore or tabletop in general, the vampire counts received a lot of love. Yeah. And, I mean, it's just because they're a really nicely done faction that's super fun. And they're really diverse. And they can be anywhere in the world. That's another strength they have. You know, they don't suffer from Lizardman syndrome or Tomb King syndrome where they're stuck in one place. Right, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense for them to leave that place.
And that's one thing I'm kind of worried about with... Look, we know Tomb Kings are coming to Total War Warhammer. But, like, lore-wise, they don't leave Nehekhara. They have no reason to. Like, Cetra just wants Nehekhara to be, like, pristine.
I mean, the only time... Well, they leave from time to time. I mean, Cetra...
To go hunt down vampires.
Well, yeah, and like, honestly, I imagine what Cetra's storyline is going to be is that, yes, he wants to unite Nehekhara, but the thing about Cetra that I love so much about him is that Cetra is like this super angry... He's very possessive of anything that he thinks is his or once was his. And, like, one of the things he does that I love so much about him is if he wakes up and somebody killed him, or, like, because he can't die. Like, Cetra's immortal. If you kill him, he just goes back to his coffin and reforms and then comes back, like, a couple years later.
He's so beastly in tabletop.
Yeah. Like, my favorite Cetra story is that a bunch of Warriors of Chaos, or Norskins, actually, invaded Nehekhara, and a Marauder warlord killed Cetra in a fight and took his crown and was like, "This is mine now," and they ran away, basically. Just grossly out of proportion. Yeah, and so Cetra comes back to life and is super pissed. So he leads a full-scale invasion of Norska and basically just kills everyone, starting on the western side and heading towards the eastern side until he finds the guy who has his crown, brutally murders him and takes it back, and then goes out to find all of the treasure that guy took from Nehekhara, no matter where it was, and took it back. And was like, "This is mine." And then he went home.
Okay. I can dig that. I can dig that because that gives justification for Cetra leaving... Oh, shit. They're swimming? Where? Cetra leaving Nehekhara. Because I was like, you know what? In a lot of lore, he doesn't really leave... Yeah, I think so, too. Arkan the Black leaves more so than anyone because he's all about, I'll go wherever the hell I want. Where's Nagash going to be?
Yeah. Arkan definitely leaves a lot to always be trying to find a way to bring Nagash back. Like, honestly, most of the Tomb King lords are pretty good about leaving, but most of the time it's only in retribution.
Exactly. Like, all for vengeance. I don't know why they sound like that.
Double kill.
See right there? Saved you. Saved you. That was all me.
Oh, yeah.
Single clan rat, man.
That true flight skill.
Yeah, I just hold down the button.
Good old auto aim. There we go. He searched the tower? Okay.
You searched the tower. Oh.
I'm getting distracted by swinging a hammer at people.
That's fine with me. Ooh, open. Where does this go? This looks somewhere. Ooh, this looks spooky. Halloween themed. Oh, okay. I'm going back up. Going back up. So like, I don't know, like Tomb Kings, I'm super stoked on, but I'm also like, kind of more stoked on possible or incoming DLC for 2. Like, yeah, I know Eltharion's coming. I know he's coming. If he doesn't come, I'll delete the game.
Yeah, you want Eltharion?
Yeah, man, he's my favorite High Elf Lord. But more so like, not Krokgar, what's it? Gorok, the White Lizard. Great White Lizard's gotta come. He's gotta come. We need him.
I don't know about Gorok. I would love to have him, but I'm not convinced that he's the one. Though I think he's more likely than any of the other minor lords.
True. Because
I think Tenant Juan is probably the next Lizardman Lord, and I'm super excited for him because he's probably my favorite character in fantasy.
not Tic-Tac-Toe?
What? It's fucking Tic-Tac-Toe. Tic-Tac-Toe is a badass, don't get me wrong, but oh god, that name. But
Cop out
he's
name.
also, you know, he's just a super skink chief. That's all he is. There's really not that much special about him.
I know.
That being said, of all the minor characters I know of, he has the best story ever.
Yeah, and he's got like a lot of cool like interaction with a lot of stuff that's not Lizardman at all.
Yeah, he's a great character because he's, you know, one of the things I like about the Lizardmen is that a lot of their minor characters are the actual defenders of their relative cities, the minor characters, because a lot of the bigger characters are Slawn, and they just, you know, they ain't got time for that.
Yeah, Lord Croak's dead. He ain't got no time for that.
You know, they're like, nah, man, I gotta contemplate stuff. I'll wake me up in, 300 years, so don't let anybody kill me in the meantime.
Ponder on my Jabba the Hutt palanquin. That's right, search that body, you minx.
Oh, it's a dead courier. Well, that sucks.
Oh! I mean, do you think we'll get Lord Croak, though?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of people who want him, and I think he could be done, but, I would rather get, like, Tenant Juan and Gorok.
I agree.
As opposed to, like, a Relic Priest would be neat, but it's also really weird. Just imagining him floating around the map,
Oh.
This is convenient.
Cannot connect to the game server. Please try again later. Did you get that?
Uh-oh. No, mine's working.
I guess I'll quit the game.
But if you drop, I'm going to go with you.
Yeah.
Because you're hosting.
Don't forget it.
Oh, yep, and there's the Skaven running off into space.
Aha. Sorry about that, guys. We'll get you back going. But really, the bread and butter is us speaking, so who cares about the game, right? But like, Lord Croak is really cool, but he, like I kind of said before, he's like just like the Deus Ex Machina of Blizzardmen. Like, oh, things are really bad. Lord Croak wishes himself back to life and kills everything.
Well, yeah, and he would be kind of weird in a Total War setting because you have a character who only knows one spell.
Mm-hmm.
He knows the Deliverance of Itza, and that's his only pony trick. Granted, it's like the most powerful spell in the game, and he just spam casts it, and it's just an AoE like everybody get dunked.
It's like banishment.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a Mortis engine on cocaine. Is a good way to think about it. That goes out in pulses instead of being like a constant. Here, how about I do the invite?
My game just crashed again, so yeah, give me a second. Let's do it again.
Okay, sure, take your time.
Well,
if I had to pick two legendary lords for the Lizardmen, I would definitely go with Tenant Juan, and I'd probably go with Gorok. Gorok would be super fun, just to give us a Saurus Lord character who doesn't use mounts, just because he's so tanky.
That's why I think he'd be a cool addition, because like what Krokgar's got going for him is that his Carnosaur, but it'd be cool just to see like this guy who could literally wade through tons of damage.
Yeah. Plus, it'd be nice to have a Saurus Lord who has like expert charge defense. Charge defense against all, because if anybody's ever not looked up Gorok, his shield is like his big claim to fame, and it's ridiculous. His shield is stupid. It's so big. It is so big.
Well, I just love like in the end times where it's like he's just surrounded by Skaven, and like that's the last thing you really see of him. But before Croak like pulls them all up into space. That's right, guys. They pulls them up into space.
Let's.
That's
actually a video I think I want to do soon, is talk about pros and cons of the end times, and it's going to be a long conversation.
I'll leave you to that one. I was going to do a video on what happens to every single lord, because a lot of people have been asking me about that, because like
I've been seeing those popping up on YouTube. There's been a couple of guys who've been like, what happened to the the legendary lords of Total War Warhammer 2 in the end times.
Well,
stuff like that.
That's a good point to bring up then. Like Abhorrash, we were talking about. Like he is last seen with Gilles Le Breton and like all the remaining Grail Knights like fighting. Like, okay, well, Are you just trying to use him later?
No, yeah. Well, he kind of had like I guess I would describe a rude send-off.
Right.
Of like, well, okay, I don't want to get into long story short, the more important a character was going to be to Age of Sigmar, the more screen time they got. If they weren't important to the setup or were not going to be playable in Age of Sigmar, they basically did not get any time.
Right. And if they didn't really know what they wanted to do, they got an ambiguous ending.
Yeah, because that's all Games Workshop really cared about with the End Times was it was a prequel to Age of Sigmar, not the end to Warhammer Fantasy, which is all of its problems in a nutshell.
God damn it. Start the mission, my lord. But I don't know, like I also think then of Skaven, and it's like you've got so many options, but I think kind of like Ikit Claw and Throt the Unclean are two like the biggest contenders.
Yeah, well, especially since we know for a fact now that Clan Scryer and Clan Boulder are big in the Mortal Empires.
Right, and that they're Hell Pit and Skavenblight are both in the game.
Yeah, and of course are inhabited by those two. So it makes sense that they would put a legendary lord in each of them. I think on the free LC schedule after Mortal Empires, it's a Skaven legendary lord is next.
Is that the one that's it says like an experiment?
No, that's after the legendary lord.
Oh, okay, okay.
The experiment is the third free LC.
That's right. For those of you just joining us, we get a reprisal of the mission we just started. But I'm kind of curious, like, Elithanar I could see as a lord, because he was a lord.
Well, here, I'll give you a rapid fire of my lord predictions.
Okay, okay.
For the races of that. So I think so we're probably going to have Skaven versus Lizardman as a lord pack. And I'm thinking that one is going to be Thanquol versus 10 and 1.
Okay, I can see that.
Thanquol, we know for a fact, is not the free LC Legendary Lord, because Grace on Reddit specifically said he is not it. So I'm hoping that means that
Spoilers,
the implied
Grace, damn.
subtext... I'm hoping that means the implied subtext is that he's, you know, a DLC, not a free LC.
Right.
Because I mean, I was one of probably not an insignificant amount of people that was really surprised he wasn't in the base game.
Me too.
I think their choices were good. Don't get me wrong, but
absolutely.
I was expecting. Thanquol is just really big.
Yeah, he's kind of like your go-to. It's like, oh, okay, a caster lord for the High Elves. We'll tackle this.
Yeah. That being said, I think if I remember right, they have said that all future DLC is not part of the Vortex race. They have their own objectives that take place during the Vortex. So even if you play just Warhammer 2, if I remember right, they don't participate in the Vortex race.
Right.
But I can't remember if that's only for new races or if that's for all new content.
Oh God!
Like, I feel like if
Rat Ogre just pounced on my face.
Yeah, that's what he just wants you to give him some.
Love me.
He just wants to sit on your face, man. He just.
Oh, well, I mean, I am an elf.
I don't know what they fused this particular Rat Ogre with, but clearly he's got some
Just covered.
interesting inclinations.
Oh. Oh God.
Block and dodge, block and dodge.
I am.
Fighting with Rat Ogres is like a dance.
I like to do this dancing thing. Oh, yeah, see right there? ItalianSpartacus killed a Rat Ogre. I saved you, dude.
Sure you did.
If it wasn't for me, you'd be lost.
I'm never gonna think of Watelgi. Not in my name.
Dude, come on, man. It's me. I'm your friend. God, dude, Marcus Kipper's over here getting just wrecked.
What'd you call him?
Marcus Kruber?
Pretty sure you said Kipper.
Nah. Kibbles and bits.
The comments will know the truth.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I didn't even finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanquol, I think for DLC. Ikit Claw is my prediction for free LC.
Okay, I can say that.
I think they're gonna do a Scryer focus because I think Thanquol, if he's the DLC, is gonna come with a lot of Clan Scryer toys.
Yes, I was gonna say, do you think he's gonna come with Giselle?
Yeah, because Scryer's missing the most out of the roster. They're rattling guns and poison wind mortars and
all the good weapons.
all sorts of toys, and of course
watch out for shit! Watch out!
What, a little patrol like that? You scared of patrols?
I'm all out of ammo. I killed one.
Oh, that's my 5th one. 6.
I'll kill these 2. Definitely. Single-handedly. Don't follow me. Don't follow me. Don't follow me.
No, I'll watch.
Oh, there's 3.
You need help?
Help me, Loremaster of Sotek. You're my only hope.
Alright, I think that puts my total at 8.
That one counts.
That one counts as 1.
Oh, no! No, prison shanked. Prison shanked. Help me, Loremaster of Sotek.
Take my eyes off you for 2 seconds.
I'm over there slumming it with the Skaven.
Really wish there was a way to like roll them off by like hitting buttons really fast or like
like a quick time event or something like that.
Yeah, that's one of my only wishes about Assassins, but I don't know. There's so much new stuff coming for this game in the second one. I'm not even gonna worry about it.
Yeah, like I can wade through tons and tons of Skaven, but one jumps on me, and there's no way I'd have the presence of mind to launch it off of me.
Yep. Granted, he does have warpstone daggers, so what are you gonna do?
Touche. Die alone.
Anyway, continuing. So for Lizardmen, I'm thinking Ten and Juan. I could see Croak, but I'm hoping for Gorok as the free LC one. For High Elves, I'm thinking Alariel and Alithanar, or not Alithanar, Alariel and Eltharion. There we go.
Not Imric, huh?
No, I don't really think Imric would add that much to the game.
Even though we have a prince that is on a lord, or on a dragon.
Yeah, but since any of your lords that you currently have access to can do that, I'd much rather get something like Eltharion the Grim, with the ability to ride griffins.
Yeah, totally agree.
Having griffin lords.
My favorite, my lord in tabletop was him.
Yeah, and then okay, you're going to do it. So let me. Where are you?
Right here, right behind you.
There you go. Healed up.
Goody. Thank you, dwarf.
And then for Dark Elves, I'm hoping for Helibron for the DLC.
Oh, totally.
Free LC is actually kind of hard with Dark Elves.
Malice
I
Darkblade.
wouldn't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Malice Darkblade. I also wouldn't mind if they gave us the Fleetmaster.
I can't remember his name. Look here, Fellheart.
Yeah, Lokir Fellheart.
That'd be pretty cool, actually. As just like a very well, here's what I kind of wonder about. Like, let's say they did. Oh, cool. Hey, we're gonna do an Assassin's DLC. You know how they usually have them themed. An Assassin's DLC, Deathmaster Snickich, Shadowblade, and Alithanar. And
that would actually be hilarious.
Because Alithanar is the closest thing you get to an assassin, and I hope with Alithanar we would get
legitimately
Shadowblades.
Hilarious.
Or Shadow Warriors, Shadow
Yeah,
Blades.
I could also see them for Alithanar for High Elves, seeing as they didn't give us Shadow Warriors, which sucks. I want Shadow Warriors so bad.
They were one of my very back. Remember the old Shadow Warrior model where it was just very static, just a guy with a sword and a shield and
the metal ones.
Yeah, and with a bow over his back. Like those were some of the first High Elf models I saw, and I'm like, dude, these things are so cool. Then I saw Dragon Princes, like these things are even cooler. Now the Shadow Warriors are a little more. They're a little less stocky. Like the metal ones are like these little burly dudes.
They're so awesome though.
Right.
Like
these little guerrilla war fighters that are kind of fighting the fight of old.
I like London Seaguard a lot, but I'd really like to have a skirmishing high elf unit that was also good range and good melee skill would be super nice.
Well, because shades are real beasts. Like I
hate shades. I hate them so much.
I didn't think they were going to be that great in this game, but they really, they gave them.
They're garbage in tabletop. I don't know what kind of upgrade they got.
Exactly. That's why I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But like they stock, they get up there, and they release so much damage so fast. They're like little paperweights, but
yeah, they have so much armor piercing. Well, and they'll wreck your typical response to units like that.
Right. Like if you charge Dragon Princes into them, they're gonna have stock on them. if they're not already seen.
Well, yeah,
so.
and then like you run in there and you're like, oh, my cav will take care of this, and then it's the great weapon variant, and they're like, haha, no.
Nay.
And they do all that horrible armor piercing damage to you, and it just hurts your face.
Dude, just archery in general in this one and 2 is way different and way like more concentrated and devastating. Like,
oh yeah,
cool, because I guess you have got the races that actually specialize on the same level that.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad they're putting a bigger. I'm glad that bows can aim up now.
Yeah, that you can shoot over. Yeah.
Because it makes a much bigger difference between guns. Where are they coming from?
Over here, downstairs. Oh.
There.
Oh, okay, good. But here's a question though, because I haven't tested it yet. This is day 1 of Mortal Empires when we're recording, so I haven't tested this yet. Because you know how things that are in combat are wading through this thing of these vermin. Like, let's say I've got my dwarf warriors fighting greenskins. My quarrelers will stop shooting into that throng. The high elf archers, the dark elf dark shards, will keep shooting up and over to the back of the unit. Did they fix that with Mortal Empires?
Yeah, quarrelers shoot up. So crossbows act like archers do.
Okay. I thought that they stopped outright.
No, like if you can tell quarrelers to shoot over the heads of your other dwarves now.
Good, Anakin.
Because I was playing dwarves today, and like rangers and quarrelers will shoot up, no problem.
Good.
Thunderers, you still have to angle right, but Thunderers also hit like absolute trucks. So. Yeah,
I'm excited to do some like my typical kind of Saturday stream and do multiplayer just to get some like be gone, you foul beast, Poison Globadier. Just to get some like cross race action going. Like, I'm so excited to actually have like dwarfs on Dark Elves or dwarfs on Lizardmen. That'd be really fun. I haven't played that yet.
Say again?
Dwarfs on Lizardmen.
Oh yeah, I haven't gotten to play that matchup either. Probably a really hard matchup for the dwarfs, honestly. Like, I think if it's a multiplayer, it's not as bad because the items that dwarves get in multiplayer are super nice.
What'd you say?
The items the dwarves
have yeah.
In multiplayer, like the Tormentor sword on the Thane is so nice.
Well, they added AP to Tyrion, and I'm like so jazzed on that because I was surprised he didn't have it to begin with.
Yeah, well, a lot of the balance is just so much better than it was. Like, multiplayer feels great. I still think the single player needs some tweaking. Obviously, we're still missing the Foundation patch, which is a huge thing to be missing. But
is the Foundation patch like Regiments of Renown?
The Regiments of Renown and Norska and all that jazz. That's probably going to be another month at least.
Yeah.
Based on what they're saying.
I'm pretty sure
that's ready to go.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna. Oh, dude, that thing was that fucking leapt from so far away.
Yeah, they have magical teleporting skills. It's horrible.
Bastard asses. Like, I'm pretty.
Have you seen the update for this game that's coming, where they have like throwing attacks, so that when they just run by you, they just throw crap at your face and it does a lot of damage.
Oh, good. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, they're like, assassins need a buff, and I'm like, no,
nah,
no, please.
They don't.
But yeah, what was I talking about? Something everyone should know about me in advance is I'm really bad about losing my train of thought.
That's fine, dude. We're playing a swarm game in the vein of Left 4 Dead. It's gonna happen. Do you see this? Just from all high, dude. Just Legolasing these things.
I had it.
I had it covered. Anything over here? No, doesn't look like it. Oh, a chest. Oh, this guy tried to Assassin's Creed into this hay bale. Nice. Okay, there we go. But I'm wondering if we'll get any more lords at all from any of the other races that have already existed.
So I don't know if you've heard my crackpot theory, but my crackpot theory is that the experiment for LC is going to be a game 1 race update of some sort, like a new legendary lord or something like that. And the reason they're calling it an experiment is I think they're gonna wait and see how the community reacts to see if like it's well received or if people like freak out and start flipping tables.
I'm trying to think of what lord they'd add. Probably something to like.
Well, if we're basing it on how they did free LC in the last game, wow, that is a lot of slaves. Free LC in the last game with how they're gonna do it in this game. So from that, let's assume that the Skaven free LC is going to come with something Skaven related, which the most likely indication of that would probably be the Lizardman versus Skaven DLC.
Like a Sotek themed DLC is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, so like, you know, the Serpent and the Rat, or whatever you want to call it. So you'd have Tin and Juan and hopefully Thankful going at it. And if that happened, then that would mean the Experiment DLC, based on how they tend to rotate, is going to be a race DLC, which most likely would be Tomb Kings. So my thought is that the Experiment could be Neferata, because Lamia is already in the game, and of course Neferata is like the biggest bad the Tomb Kings have next to Nagash.
True.
And plus, with the Tomb Kings getting 4 legendary lords, instead of a mini campaign, which I really wish we could have that deal with the other races that we've already gotten. I wish they would go back and give us that those additional 2 Wood Elf lords and Beastman lords, but oh well.
Seriously. Maybe that's an experiment.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? But so I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, all right, so one of the Tomb King lords is of course Khalida, so we're going to give you Neferata as free LC because. Like, and the Silver Host is in the game, too. I don't know if you've seen them.
I have not seen them, but I know that they're in.
Yeah, they're right next to Krokar and Queek's starting locations.
As they should be.
And it's literally Neferata's faction. Like, that's who they are.
Right. So, I mean, that all makes sense then.
Yeah. But it's, like I said, it's still kind of a crazy theory.
Because you
like
see...
foggy or something down here.
I know, I'm scared. But you see what they've done now with Mortal Empires. They just have the Legendary Lords. You don't choose, I choose Von Karstein's in this legendary lord. I choose this legendary lord who is Von Karstein. And
true, but you still have them, like, divvied up in their factions. It just isn't a really fancy display, which I think a lot of people are like, oh, great.
No,
the new display is not very aesthetically pleasing, I will say.
Well, look at that. But what I'm trying to get at, though, is, like, we might start to see stuff like Malice Darkblade. So, and he would definitely be Nagarond. You know, he wouldn't necessarily have to be... Well, actually, he'd be Haggrafe.
If he wasn't Haggrafe, I would flip a table.
But in Mortal Empires, I haven't started as the Dark Elves, so I don't know if they have all their things there.
Yes, they have all their major cities.
Okay.
Clark, Arond, and Karankar, and all that stuff. Haggrafe.
Well, then I guess my theory is bullshit.
Well, and the only other thing I would say to that is that CA has already kind of promised that every lord coming out from now on is probably going to have, or is going to have unique starting locations.
Exactly, yeah.
The only time I would see exceptions to that rule would be for free LC lords.
Good point. Good point. But maybe Core.
But I don't know, because Vlad and Isabella were both free LC, and they both got their own faction. Von Karstein. So I don't know. Maybe they're just going to give everybody their own faction. You get a faction, and you get a faction,
and you get a faction. I don't know, man. Like, because there is so many like options that they can go down, and it's really exciting to see all that shit. Because it's like, anytime they throw like anything my way, like any FLC, DLC, whatever the hell, I don't care. It's awesome. It's awesome. I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Give it to me.
Well, like, I'm a total shill, and
yeah.
like I like Creative Assembly quite a bit, but I love Warhammer, and I like the way they've handled it. So they could literally come to me and be like, "How would you feel about paying $15 for a pack that would just add like all of the Warrior of Chaos and Beastman monsters into the game?" And I'd be like, "Sold!"
I bought it before you said anything.
Yeah, you could make it $30 or $50. I'd still buy it.
Yeah.
I would start a Kickstarter just to give you guys more money so you can put more stuff in the game.
It'd be 7,000% funded. It'd all be for me.
Because like I love Creative Assembly and like I enjoyed Shogun 2, but I really doubt I'm ever gonna leave Warhammer.
Oh, it's so good.
I probably won't play the next historical game because how can I possibly care about history when I have Warhammer?
And I love me some history. Like, oh god, I'm just getting swarmed over here. What are our two dudes doing over there, man? They're just like
The bean bots.
just humping over there. But it's like, yeah, sure, I got into Total War because I love historical, but at the same time, I love Warhammer the most over all of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, and we're in the golden age of Warhammer right now, which is really weird because Warhammer is technically dead.
Yeah, it's right. But all these games, like this is great. Like all this stuff.
And not only are they great, but they're doing well. You know, we're getting Vermintide 2, which looks amazing and is so much bigger than this game already. And you know, and it's still a baby. Like, I don't think it's even coming out for like 6 months.
Right.
I think it's more like 3 months, but still. And then, you know, you got Warhammer, which is probably still got another 2 or 3 years of development to go, because Game 3 is probably not going to come out for a year or two.
Exactly.
And then there's going to be a DLC for Game 3. So, like, Warhammer's, you know, it's probably Warhammer, you know, the Warhammer hype train ain't stopping anytime soon.
No, we're probably, like, nearing the climax of all of it. Like, I mean, I think 3 is not going to be the climax. I think by the time 3 starts, we'll have so much from 2 and the DLC and the FLC that will be like, shit, what are they going to possibly add in 3 outside of demons?
I'm just gonna I'm secretly sitting around like praying, hoping that like the Warhammer trilogy sells so well that when it's over,
yeah, they reboot it.
Like, CA's like, how can we stop making this if we're making so much money off of this?
Right.
But I think it comes down to how the next history game does. You know, if the next historical game, that's something I'm really interested to see. And I'm not hoping one way or the other. I'm just curious to see how it plays out. Is when the next historical game is going to release, is it going to have the same success as Warhammer? Because people are like, oh, yeah, I like Warhammer, so I'll play Creative Assembly games. Or are people going to look at history and be like, eh, and it's not going to
Who likes this history shit anyway?
Yeah, so that's one thing I'm going to be really interested to see, is if the sales go up or down. Because, like, I know I probably won't buy the next historical title.
Really?
Unless it's something like just mind-blowing.
Like Romance of the Three Kingdoms?
Graphics are mind-blowing, and it's a new engine, and like all this other stuff. That's the only way I could see myself buying it.
What would it have to be, though? Like Romance of the Three Kingdoms? Or like World War One?
I'm not that much of a historical buff. Like, and some people either don't know that, or don't care, or find it surprising, I don't know. But like, I like Shogun 2, for instance, but that's because I like the gameplay of it. But like, I tried playing Rome 2 and Attila, and I hated them.
Really?
Or I didn't hate them, but I didn't play them. I didn't like them.
I think
like,
most
I ended up refunding them. Yeah, well, I ended up refunding them because I didn't enjoy the gameplay. It was really crowded, and it was very messy, and I was just like, I just can't care. There's just too much of the same. You know, and that's what bothers me about history, is that I know a lot of people can play games where, like, they don't have a lot of options about their character, and they're like, this is fine.
This'll do.
You know, like, you know, I compare, like, the original Divinity game.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Or Divinity Origin, sorry. Divinity Origin, not Divinity.
Oh, okay, so Divinity, the Divinity Original Sin Origin, like the very first one of this.
Yes, that one. Divinity Original Sin, you know, fantastic game. Liked it a lot. You know, it's probably was the penultimate RPG game. Of course, Divinity Original Sin 2 is blown it out of the water.
Dude, I'm loving it so much.
And is like, it's so good, it hurts. It physically hurts how good it is.
Right. It makes me feel.
It's just a D&D session that's somehow fully voice act. I don't know how they had time to fully voice act it and all the other jazz. But anyway, get off me.
Damn it, bastards.
But what I was going to say is that, like, one of the things I did not like about the original Divinity game is that I could only play human. And I had played Dragon Commander, which was a Divinity game that introduces you to all the races.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, you know, there's lizard people and undead and dwarves, blah, blah, blah. And then I played Original Sin, it's like, you can be a man or a woman. And I'm like, this sucks.
Like, but I want to be a dragon man.
Yeah, like, I really dislike games where I'm forced to be just a guy. And historical kind of falls into that, of that I play historical games and I'm like, oh look, everyone looks the exact same because they're all people and they're wearing different colors, sure, and like maybe they have slightly different armor.
My flag is yellow.
Yeah, the thing of, oh my god, there is I'm not happy they put the Drakenfels effect in this level. Oh my gosh, this is so not okay.
This is terrifying.
And there's a rattling gun down here, and I can't see it.
It's way, way, way back there. Just keep moving. Keep forging ahead.
At least it's shooting all those slaves behind us.
This is terrifying, actually. This is good Halloween-themed podcast.
Yeah, this is... I love this effect, but I also hate it at the same time. Okay, here we go.
Freaking out.
What is this? Okay,
oh,
but
come on.
Oh, storm. In any event, so like I just don't really. I struggle really hard to get into historical games because the thing about historical games is that you have to have an appreciation for historical realism, you know. And I already get so much of realism in my day-to-day life. I don't want that shit when I sit down to play a video game.
Okay, good point. I guess
it's like,
I'm such a huge history buff that like that stuff. I'm like, yes, I would love to play as the Third Reich, or I'd love to play as the Allies. Like, damn yeah.
I'm just gonna take a snippet of that and just play it. Like, oh. I love the Third Reich. I knew it. He's a Nazi all along.
Damn it! Yeah, shouldn't have said that. People are gonna just only take that from me now. No, so I didn't say anything about Mussolini. as ItalianSpartacus, I didn't say that. But I mean, that's a really good point.
Yeah, and you know, I am by no means saying that I think the game shouldn't be made or anything. Like, I think they should be made because it's a genre that needs to survive.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
RTS is kind of in a really good place right now. But, you know, especially like around Rome 2 and all this stuff, it has had some struggles. Come get on the boat so we can get the hell out of here.
Well, it's in a good place and a bad place, too, because you have, like, every other one's, like, a hit and every other one's a miss, you know? It's like, well, especially Warhammer games, too. Like, we look at, like, these two games were hits. Deathwing didn't sell that great. I haven't played Deathwing yet. It looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. I heard the gameplay sucked, though, is the thing. Like, 40K is suffering... 40K is not having... the fantasy glory right now, where
it just isn't making it. Eternal Crusade.
Well, I think the problem with 40K is that you have a lot of developers who are just cashing out on using the 40K license instead of making legitimately good games. Because I think people are buying them and like trying them because 40K is really famous and like people really want. Let's go ahead and do reaching out.
Okay. I mean, shit, dude. I bought. Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor Martyr. That's a mouthful, and it's not even out yet. I'm like, yes, I'll put my money into something in hopes that it becomes amazing. And
yeah,
it's
like I am one of the many people that saw Dawn of War 3, and I was like, yes, finally.
Me too.
And then I saw it, and I was like, no, what have you done?
Dude, me too. I was so upset when they said, well, it's going to be a lot more like Dawn of War 1. I'm like, yes, perfect, best formula that ever existed.
Liars! I saw that quote too. I remember they were like, Dawn of War 3 is going to go back to massive armies. And I was like, thank you, God.
And
because Dawn of War 2 wasn't bad. Like, I thought it was a legitimately good game. I loved playing Tyranids.
Which is totally different feel compared to 1.
Yeah, but I just didn't... You know, I wanted to kind of go back to base building and all that other hardcore strategy and, like, massive... Because my thing is, I like games that have high variety.
Yeah.
Variety is the spice of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably because I live a really boring personal life. So, like, when I saw Dawn of War 3, and there's only 3 playable races, and their rosters are fucking tiny!
By comparison, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's like, oh my... And they're like, look, we made this one model for each army that's fucking giant.
Yeah,
That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, and like, on top of it, too, like, the amount of insanity that you can do with... Like, okay, imagine if Divinity Original Sin was Warhammer 40,000.
I know, themed. Right? Or even just like you know what's been my like wet dream fetish game for as long as I can remember.
I'm waiting.
That was a weird way to describe it, but you get the point.
Yes, my third Reich and your weird fetish. Go on.
Would be like a Witcher style game about Gotrek and Felix.
Oh,
like I would sell my soul to the most horrible of creatures to get that game into reality.
That's not a bad idea. I thought you were gonna say, like, because you know the Warhammer or the 40K pen and paper RPG Dark Heresy, right?
Yes, I'm aware of it. I play the fantasy one. I play second edition fantasy a lot.
Okay, I have too, and I love that. But I have Dark Heresy, and I've got.
I've never played Dark Heresy, but I've heard it's the most unfortunate and brutal thing in existence.
Well, it's like Warhammer Fantasy, because you know how Warhammer Fantasy, you don't start off as like a Reichsgod. You start off as like a peasant,
as like a dung collector.
Literally a dung collector, and you progress up.
Yeah, but in 40k it's worse because they're guns.
Well, yeah, because you can start off as like an arbiter. I'm sorry, like an arbitrator and stuff like that. Like you can start off as all these kind of like different. Oh shit, like a smuggler. Oh no, I'm getting choked out. This is so sexy. All sorts of other crap, but it's incredibly brutal, incredibly unforgiving. But imagine a game either like a Diablo. Well, that's what Inquisitor Martyr is like. It's kind of like Diablo style action RPG, but an Inquisitor. Shit, man, a Divinity Original Sin style RPG in that Dark Heresy brutal universe because. Divinity is hard.
Well, and that's Divinity is one of those things where I'm like, you could literally slap any universe on it and it'd be good. Lord of the Rings, I'm down. Warhammer, I'm down. 40k, I'm down. Like I don't even care. Like it's so well done.
Yeah, like it's such a good.
That being said, of course, I love 40k and fantasy, which people, a lot of people, and granted, it's true. I used to hate 40k for the longest time.
Interesting.
But I actually started collecting models pretty recently. I have a Tyranid army sitting in my other room that I'm working on.
Ooh.
I love my space bugs.
Turin's getting Death Guard. I'm finishing off my Blood Angels. And Turin's white. What'd you call me?
Blood Angels.
Dude, space vampires, man, come on. Space vampire bros. Everyone's clapping each other's forearms like my brother.
Space Marines gag. In any event, fun history lesson for you. Did you know that? Well, you probably do know this if you've been around at least as long as I have. Which, did you know the Tyranids were originally supposed to be the space lizardmen, and then over time they just got horribly interpreted into what they are now? So
I've heard that the Tyranid have a weird origin, but I did not know that precisely.
Yeah, most of almost all of the fantasy races made a port to 40k.
Right.
When 40k
squats.
first started. Yeah, like the infamous and legendary squats.
Mm-hmm. Now, squats are space dwarfs for you guys who don't know.
Yeah, and of course, very few of them have survived because 40k, of course, developed into its own IP, which is much better.
Right.
Because like the fantasy races going into space just didn't really make that much sense.
Exactly.
But the Tyranids were originally space lizardmen. They kind of still hold on to that legacy in like the way they act with their synapse and the way it was supposed to like. If you think of the hive mind as more of like the communication of the Slan,
exactly,
and the Great Plan and all this other stuff, but they developed into this instead like voracious, horrible thing. But like I like the Tyranids personally because like one of my favorite ideals, theories, whatever. Oh, there's a lore page here. Is immortality, right? And in 40k, the only way to become immortal normally is to make a deal with chaos,
or be a Catan. But yeah,
yeah, which both those kind of suck. But I much prefer the form of Tyranid immortality, like
just becoming like a piece of biomatter that contributes to the whole.
Yeah, like you become part of the hive mind, and you just live forever as that, and you can be remade into countless forms, to suit whatever need.
I'm so far behind. I'm alone.
Where are
I'm
you?
lost. I'm getting butchered. I'm getting things. Skaven are putting things in me that may or may not be phallic.
Hold on, I'll save you. Dwarf to the rescue.
Help me, Loremaster Sotek. You're my only hope. Oh, dude, you're just gonna jump down and volley these guys.
No!
Oh, you dude.
I thought he had already left.
Dude,
Bots,
oh my god.
I wonder if they made it so the bots. Okay, good, you're up. Shoot thy bow. Oh gosh.
I got you. I have got you. It's me that saved you this time.
Don't heal. Let me heal.
Yeah.
Because I've got the heal share.
Damn, man, that was brutal.
Yeah, Packmasters are a bitch.
I hate them. Oh, look at this. But, well, okay, yeah. And for those of you also that don't know, the Tyranids, they go from basically from planet to planet, from system to system, stripping it of all of its biological matter, and then using that biological matter to create their hormagaunts, their termagants, their hive queens, everything that controls or is the Tyranids is made by consuming all of this, again, biomatter, stripping these planets off completely.
And they just recycle themselves constantly.
Yep.
Like killing
Boil them down
Tyranids
into goo.
is like Tyranids are they're so awesome for that. Where the hell are we going?
I don't know. Oh, killing that Radogre is where we're going.
Oh, hello.
One you're right in front of. I don't know, man. I have a big bromance with the bromance kings themselves.
Oh, wait, no, I'm not. Haha.
Like, I love all the Primarchs.
I like some of the Primarchs, but I don't like Space Marines that much because
too vanilla for you.
My biggest beef with the Warhammer 40k universe. So, like, 8th edition 40k is doing really well right now.
Yeah.
Which is why I started playing.
It's really good.
And so, like, I collected some Tyranids and all this stuff, and I was like, I want to learn more about the Tyranids. So I bought the 40k main rulebook, and I bought the I think you need to go this way. And I bought the
We can't help it.
Let me heal up.
Wait, what? Is there something in the well?
There's sorrow here.
There's something in the well. No, we got to go this way to the right. Search the table. Oh, we're way.
Oh, no, okay, it's up here. But anyway, so I got the Tyranid book, like the Xenos book, so you could just have like, and it gives you like the basic lore and gives you all the rules for playing.
Right.
And I was like,
I've got the
all right, this works.
For Blood Angels.
And so
we got to go forward and then left. I think it is.
Yeah, I think it has to be around here somewhere.
Yeah,
just
left to the left.
Just follow where there are still alive Skaven. that's the way there.
So we got the Xenos book.
Yeah, so I got the book and I opened it. So the main rule book, and for comparison, just so everyone's on the same page as what I'm about to explain, you get the Fantasy 8th edition rule book, and there's about 5 to 6 pages on every single faction.
Right.
Like you get a good amount of lore on all of the races.
And on the world itself.
Yeah, I open up the main rule book, and 99% of it is just Space Marines and Holy Terra. And like you go to the Tyranid section, you get 1 page.
I'll be honest, the majority of the 40k lore revolves around the Eldar Eldar Chaos Space Marines and Space Marines.
Yeah,
Like,
and I hated that, or I hate that, I should say, of that. Like in fantasy, I felt like the world was much more balanced.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'd say.
Yeah, 40k does not have that balance, which I think is a shame. You know, and you look at stuff like, oh, I would like to pick up a Tyranid book, and I think your options are like single digits, maybe, of like Black Library books. Whereas if you're like, man, I would really like a Space Marine book, you've got the freaking Horus Heresy series to start with, and that's like 30 novels at this point.
Seriously. Well, I was going to say, one of my favorite Tyranid books is, oh man, what's it called? Not Macragge, because that's obviously on Macragge, but it's a book following this... with pages. You read top to bottom, left to right if you're in the U.S., if you're in Japan.
Is there script on said pages?
Oh, no, God, no. But, oh, Jesus, dude. My screen is just a flurry of gore. But it follows this one, basically this one company of Space Marines that were sent to a hive world that's about to get invaded by a Leviathan strand, or whatever the hell it is, a splinter fleet. And it follows pretty much this one captain, and how he's trying to deal with this vastly unprepared hive world to fight off this entire massive, not Skaven, Tyranid host. And they follow a lictor, and lictors are basically like for
the
people
big, scary, camouflaging ones.
Yeah, and they're basically these stalking assassin creatures for people that don't know. So they actually like follow it through chapters as if it's like a point of view character, and it's very interesting because you're like, oh, they did a good job of like actually creating a point of view for a character that doesn't have a point of view. So, oh shit, where are we going? We're both like just leaping into nothingness. But yeah, like you said, like it's Space Marines with Tyranids involved. Oh come on, get out of here.
Yeah, and granted, like it's like 40k has a lot of good strengths. Like the lore is really fun.
Oh yeah,
I just don't like it as much as fantasy. I think fantasy's better.
Agreed.
Overall.
I think it's a little more. It's way more balanced, way more fleshed out because you have like a beginning, middle, and end to a lot of the characters. 40k has a lot of the Bretonia or the dwarf ancestor god treatment of when they're in the most dire of need, he shall come from the shadows and save them. Like that kind of crap.
Yeah, but unlike the dwarf ancestors, they actually do.
Yeah, seriously, right? And it's like you get that with all the Primarchs. Like they're all gone, but they will come back. And now we're getting them coming back. Like
yeah, 8th edition's been fucking crazy when it comes to like well, and that's the other reason I got into 8th edition was that 40k, despite you would think being immune to stagnation due to how large the universe is, had gotten stagnant. And like it wasn't moving a whole lot to my understanding. And I'm sure there's going to be someone who's like, well, actually, you know, like a billion campaigns took place during 7th edition, but like almost all those campaigns were probably over some solar system that nobody gave a shit about, and it didn't matter in the grand scheme. But then you've got 8th edition, where 8th edition literally opens with the Imperium getting ripped in half. You know, the Imperium gets ripped in half by a Chaos Rift that covers the entire galaxy. Like, what?
Right. And it's great.
And it's just bonkers, and it's awesome.
And it's like, that's what I wanted in Warhammer. And that's what I want. Like, imagine if Creative...
Oh, shit. This is the boss fight.
Yep.
I've never fought this guy before, so I don't know.
Just go at him. He's nothing crazy at all, to be honest.
Okay, this reeks of boss room.
Yeah, because imagine if Games Workshop said, hey, have at it, Creative Assembly. Take the lore and do whatever you want with it. We're done. We can't do anything anymore with this. We've gotten rid of the line of models. It's you. And they kind of started to continue things. Because, I mean, they have the possibility to now make... They don't have to make an end times. They can just kind of start forwarding something. Like, that'd be pretty awesome.
Well, and, you know, that's what I'm really hoping may happen after... they finish the third game, is if it's still doing really well and they're like, you know what, yeah, we do want to keep expanding the world. They can just start adding things.
So fucking good. That backhand forge. Oh god, it could claw.
Oh wow, you are really big.
Dude, you see that jump thrust he did? Oh god. Oh.
I love this guy. He looks awesome. I'm gonna stay away from that. Okay.
Yeah, man, he just goes all...
What is happening?
He goes all sorts of crazy with that Warp Lightning.
Why can't my chieftains do this on tabletop?
I know, right? So, it's funny because you say like, oh, you know, I didn't used to like 40k. I know more about 40k than I do fantasy. Like, that's how long and how much I've been playing 40k by comparison.
In fantasy's defense, there's just more lore for 40k.
True too.
Fantasy went through
lots of different revisions. Like, oh my god,
that,
the elf pantheon in general. Like, how many times that's been changed? You know, dude. Yeah, just kick the crap out of that thing. Yeah.
Oh, he's dead already. That's it.
Yep.
I was expecting that to at least last another couple minutes.
Man.
Well, I was not satisfied with his performance.
Well, we are only on hard, so
I expected him to last longer.
Prom was let down.
Now I know how so many women feel.
Womp womp. Oh, cool. Lore page right here.
I love those. But where are they going? Wait, come back!
Let me kill you.
But in any event, because if memory serves me right, the biggest problem was that Fantasy spent almost 3 editions retconning itself.
Yes.
And 40k managed to avoid doing that.
They retcon themselves once.
You know, where 6th edition was like totally new, and the world was completely revamped. And then 7th edition advanced the 6th edition world and was great, but it didn't advance a bunch. And then 8th edition completely retconned all the things, and then the universe died.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like,
let's just put a fork in it.
Honestly, and like, although 8th edition was more fleshed out, since they had a whole edition to just sort of sit there twiddling their thumbs, it wasn't really, like, there just isn't as much lore that was created between the 6th and 7th, or 6th and 8th, which, you know, that's almost a 20-year period.
Fucking ridiculous. Should we do one more?
Sure. But and it's just this. So, like, I know, I would never say I know everything about fantasy, but I know a lot about fantasy.
Yeah, I'd say you know a lot about fantasy.
And like, I would be really surprised if I met someone who knew more than me. But I also have a library that's nothing but fantasy. Like, I didn't even collect other fantasy series. Like, you know, there are people who read like the Dragonlance series.
Oh God, yeah, man, Dragonlance.
Like the Sword of Truth series, and like all sorts of different fantasy universes. I never expanded my genres. I literally just collected fantasy.
It's funny because I'd say I collected more. Definitely collected more. What's it called? 40K Black Library books than I did fantasy books, because I was so hung up on William King as a writer that I picked up,
he's
like,
a good writer.
Oh God, Godric and Felix series is amazing.
Yep.
The Tyrion and Teclis trilogy is amazing. All of the Ragnar books that he wrote are great. Chris Wright kind of took up his what's it called, his mantle after that, and is still pretty damn good. But it's like, there's so many good damn writers in the Black Library, and that's why, like, I think I steered so much towards 40K originally. I can't remember the first Black Library book I bought, but
let's do a good old fashioned Horn of Magnus on Nightmare. That sounds fun.
Going somewhere with that, but my brain went on out of my house. So, okay, completely derailing, kind of pushing us back towards Total War Warhammer 2. We know Tomb Kings. We know that Chaos Dwarfs, Ogre Kingdoms are in the Darklands, so they have to be in 3 because it's not even on the map.
Right.
I mean, they could extend it out there, but it's so far northeast of anything that it can't sit on the map. I'm not even going to humor that as a possibility.
Right.
Oh, look at that beautiful shot of Marsleeb. What do you think the second DLC faction will be?
So first of all, I'm gonna propose the idea of
Don't propose to me. We barely know each other.
Oh, I was led on my feelings.
I was strung along this whole damn time.
I am not certain there is going to be a second race DLC.
Really? You think it's just going to be Lord?
Yeah. Call me crazy, but I would actually just stab me in the back, you bastard. I would actually much prefer if they just expanded what we already have.
I kind of agree.
That being said, knowing them and knowing the way the community works, that's not going to happen. So if I had to pick a second race, I would go with Araby.
Yeah. I was going to say the only other one you could really create. A lot of people really want Albion, but I just don't think Albion or even Amazons.
A lot of people don't understand what Albion is, though.
Right.
When they say that. Like, Albion is not a race, really. They're more like an indigenous people that got dragged into a series of events that they were completely unprepared for.
Yeah, exactly.
And they had a couple of individuals who were powerful enough to convince the other races in the world to come help for their own means. You had your dark emissaries and your truthsayers.
Yep.
That's it. That's where the story ends.
But you don't really have a race off of that. Not in the same way that we had with Norska or Kislev and stuff like that.
Yeah, Kislev, Araby,
both of which were
Tilius,
fleshed out Loremaster races with their own lores.
Yeah,
Lore of the Sands and Lore of Ice.
Yeah, and they have, you know, interesting, unique units and all this other stuff. You know, you got your winged lancers for the Kislevites.
God, winged hussars.
And although they never actually had bear cavalry, they just had a dude who rode a bear. I'm sure they would probably put bear cav in the game.
If they don't, god
and
damn it.
Glorious.
I don't know, man. They're having a hard time putting in white lions.
This is a total aside, but have you seen that they buffed the Griffin Knights, like the unit version?
The Hippogriffs?
Or the Hippogriff Knights?
No.
Yes, they are. Oh, they're so good now.
Really?
Like, I don't know if they're going to be. I don't know if they're able to be competitive, but they gave them the Blessing of the Lady, so they have that physical resist.
Oh, the Hippogriff. Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking of Demogriff Knights.
No, the Hippogriff Knights, the ones that sucked.
Right.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, they're actually good now, because I fucking love that unit.
Well, I'll play with them, let you know if they're good or not.
But in any event, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so like Araby totally worked. You know, they had Djinns, which are super awesome.
Oh man, dude, they're so cool in the lore, like the greater Djinns of the desert and how they're huge.
Yeah, like Djinns are really badass. Like they're almost like a subspecies of demon, which is like one of the coolest things about them is that they're, you know, demons. But a lot of people may not realize at the top of their head is that demons aren't all necessarily evil, though they tend to be because they're just really capricious.
Right.
But demons are just magic given emotion in physical form.
Right.
Like, demons are not actual things. You know, they're not like born.
It's all just this nascent emotional energy.
Yeah, and even then, like all the chaos powers, the ones that we know, their demons are literally just shards of themselves split off. And sent in to cause mayhem. Djinns are like these totally batshit crazy just elements that wander around in the desert, and they're just forms of magic that basically hooked onto their environment and came to life. And they're super cool.
And they're totally like they can be malicious. They're all about like.
Oh yeah, they can be dicks.
Yeah, they're kind of capricious like demons though, which is cool. But they're in like a way more of like a greater demon, even though like it wasn't say like, oh hey, I'm here for corn. Like, oh shit. At the end of the day, it's a greater demon of corn. Corn is its big papa. Djinn doesn't have that. Doesn't have like a sovereign.
Yeah,
they're way more autonomous.
Yeah, and that's another thing about Araby that I would like a lot, and that maybe people don't think about that makes them special is. Araby is a faction I really like because they have a relationship with chaos, even though they don't actively worship it.
Right.
Because like Tzeentch has cults in Araby because the sorcerer cabals, which is what made Jafar so powerful.
Jafar, which kind of got him down the whole dark magic path.
You know, Jafar's whole spiel was that he struck a deal with Skaven and Tzeentch. Like,
yes,
that was how he got his rise to power, and of course it backfired.
And then, because they started tricking him, like, oh, they're going to invade you.
And so I would really like to play a race that has the ability to like get stronger if you're willing to accept chaos corruption into your realm, but the chaos corruption still hurts.
Well, I just
I think that would be neat, especially since Morthy has kind of brought Slaanesh into the game in a higher focus.
Right.
Which I must say, of all the greater powers, Slaanesh is surprisingly heavily featured. Oh, that assassin's going to get me in me. Oh, not yet. Haha.
Come on, get out of here, you little bastards. Get him. Oh, got him, nice. A good point, too, because it's like, I think of like, how not the Great Crusade, but basically what leads to the Empire Bretonnian Crusade and how the Skaven were like, yeah, you know, those Tillians and Estalians, they're talking about invading you, and Jafar just gets all like black or dark magic craze. There's like, and just goes and invades.
Well, Jafar was super paranoid.
Yeah.
For good reason. I will say that much about him.
Seriously.
I don't think he was misguided in being paranoid. But he was paranoid about humans when he should have been paranoid about rats and demons.
You know, the two things that everyone should be paranoid about.
Yeah, but that actually reminds me. So for anyone who's listened this long, I'm gonna actually share something. I've been
I just got
investigating.
capped, just straight up, just completely done with.
What?
I got just capped in the back of the head.
You got poked in the butt a little hard, huh?
Yeah, I got double tapped. Go on.
I got distracted. In any event, one of the things I've been investigating a lot is that I did not know this until very recently, like 2 days ago, but the Warhammer 2 campaigns have epilogues, which you have to wait 2 turns for after you win the campaign to get them.
Oh.
Which a lot of people don't know that, because they just quit the campaign immediately when they win, or, you know, they hang around for a turn to maybe look at something, but I was achievement hunting and it popped up. And it turns out that all of the races, I've only done the High Elves and Dark Elves so far, or excuse me, High Elves and Lizardmen so far, and all of them are alluding to the fact that despite the fact, you know, their race controls, pick up the barrel.
Oh, the barrel.
It's gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up. Yeah. In any event, so like the Lizardman one is what caught me onto this, in that it seems that the lore for it is already setting up for, hey, there's a big bad coming. Like, gosh darn it.
Dude, look at you just getting double shanked. Oh,
Save me.
Oh my god,
Save me,
please.
Bright Wizard.
Please save him.
Be useful so this run isn't wasted.
All right.
Oh, I'm not gonna die here.
Nice, you're good.
So if you play the Lizardman campaign and you get to the very end, you know the advisors for the Lizardmen are, you cannot do that, and which is, but it is what it is. So there's the Skink Priest, you cannot do that, and there's the Kroxigor Targrax. And the 2 of them in the epilogue go back to their city and are basically reporting back to their Slaawn, saying, hey, we saved the world, we control the vortex,
we did it.
And the Slaawn immediately wakes up and basically says, everyone's in great peril, the world is in trouble.
Oh no.
And you cannot do that. Goes, no, your time sync is off, because Slaawn, that would make sense. Slaawn could probably become desynced with time.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, no, you misunderstand. Mazdamundi, you know, controls the vortex. And he tells them basically that the vortex was essentially playing into the plan of something, and that Nakari is coming. And for anyone who doesn't know, Nakari is the biggest of the baddest of Slaaneish's demons.
Right.
Like,
the one who hunts all of Anarian's bloodline.
Yeah, because she's still super upset that Anarian one-shot her.
Boom!
And
headshot.
So I started doing some investigating, and I still have to do the Skaven and the Dark Elf epilogues, so it could be that this turns out to be nothing. But the High Elf one also ends with a Slaanesh focus of that. If you could,
lore page right here.
I guess I should have said spoilers. So if anyone's listening to this and they're upset at me, sorry, spoilers.
Jesus, man.
So spoilers for the High Elf campaign. Of that, when you finish the High Elf campaign, have you finished it? I don't want to spoil it.
No, I haven't.
I don't want to. That one's hard to talk about because it reveals fun stuff of the story.
Okay, then don't.
So I'll skip that one. But I will say you find out that Morathi was up to something.
Oh.
And that she had agents infiltrating your faction to try and have influence over what you were doing, because she's prepping the way for something.
Lore book in here.
Again, and if anyone's read CA's short story on Slaanesh, they would know that, or Morathi, they would know that she is a Slaanesh cultist in CA's interpretation of her. Because she's always been kind of Slaanesh, but kind of not, depending on which version of the game you're looking at.
Or which lore book you're reading in. Like, how much is she going to whore herself out for Slaanesh in this one?
Yeah, so like if you read 8th edition, I actually have a friend who gets super upset about this, but I just laugh at him because I don't care. But like 8th edition, which I did not like the Dark Elf book in 8th edition.
Oh, fuck me.
Sorry, I shot you in the back.
Oh, really?
Sorry, I pulled an elf move there for a second. My bad.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to heal myself.
The Skaven's faster than it looks.
But in any event, so in 8th edition, Morathi was completely retconned. Well, a lot of the Dark Elf stuff was completely retconned because Matt Ward got his hands on the book.
Oh, God.
And Matt Ward, for anyone who doesn't know, is a writer for Games Workshop who is very infamous for, instead of reading the Warhammer world, or the 40k world for that matter, and being like, all right, so I need to do this race within this world, so here's how I'm going to do it. He likes to instead go, how would I like the Warhammer world to
Exactly.
work? And writes his
Exactly.
novel based on that.
Yeah, Space Marines.
Yeah, yeah, Ultramarines in particular.
Exactly.
So for fantasy, what he decided to do is he was able to write all three of the elf books. He wrote the Wood Elf book, the High Elf book, and the Dark Elf book.
This I
And
did not
that-
know. This is uncharted territory for me right now.
So that's why the Elven Pantheon got fucking huge.
And
in
just
8th
destroyed.
edition. Yeah. But prior to 8th edition, the Elven Pantheon was incredibly small.
Yeah, it was Assyrian, Kuranos, and Cain, and also Aisha.
Yeah, well, you had a decent amount of gods, but the 8th edition added a bunch of the Underworld Gods.
Right, that could die.
the Sunderer, you know, like he went crazy adding in a bunch of new gods.
And
And
who really don't do or have much to do with anything, to be totally honest.
no,
Like,
they don't. Yeah, they don't do anything. They never show up in the lore because they're only around for one edition, and they don't do anything. Like
they have a throwaway
the most-
story each.
Like I have a unfinished script that I need to finish of, like, you know, the lore of all the Elven Pantheon, and like for Hukon the Sunderer, if you get like 2 or 3 paragraphs out of that between the 3 Elven races, you're doing good.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, because I did one on the Kadai, you know, like the...
Well, hold in here. This is my favorite spot to defend.
Oh, absolutely. Oh shit. You know, all the good aligned ones, then all the dark aligned ones. It's like, man, this is gonna make a 2-video thing because there's just so much crap, and it is just crap because it's like, hey, the sorceress, patroness goddess, plus this goddess did this and this and this. You're like, what? Like,
Give me 1 sec. I have to close the door.
sure. Oh my god, there's so many damn. Oh, oops. Nope, wrong gun.
I have a dog named Chloe. She's very big. She's a 90-pound Great Pyrenees White Lab mix.
Oh my god, she's a pupper.
Yeah, she's gorgeous and wonderful and super nice, but she knows how to open doors. And so at nighttime, she likes to wander around the house. And eventually, when she's done wandering, she'll come into my room and go to sleep on my bed while I'm playing
Sotek.
games. But she opens the door, and I, of course, live with people, and it gets very noisy. My door's open, and people yell at me.
Just creaks. Feed
They're like-
me.
No, she's just a butt. She's like, I'm gonna come sleep in here because she doesn't like being by herself. Just, you know, she's just a dog.
Just a puppy doogie.
Yeah. No, I love her to death, but she also makes me obscenely mad when she decides to open the door when I'm in the middle of doing stuff. Anyway, what was this thing? So the biggest change, and some of the changes were good and some were bad. Like, the Wood Elves, in my opinion, received almost entirely positive changes.
Agreed.
The Wood Elf lore got massively expanded compared to what it used to be.
Agreed.
And he took it in a really interesting direction, and a lot of people really liked it. The High Elves were okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad or great. I would say it was
don't think
good.
much of it happened, to be totally honest. Or I mean, don't think much of it went anywhere. It was. I mean, I read the 8th edition book, and I didn't read the 7th edition book, and there wasn't much of a difference.
Yeah, the High Elves stayed very consistent. Excuse me, I need to take a drink of water. There we go. And then there was the Dark Elves. Holy mother of fuck. So, just off the top of my head, what I like to call non-canon events, which are things that happened in the Dark Elf interpretation of the world, but didn't happen anywhere else, were events like Karl Franz, undefeated Loremaster of the Empire.
Right.
Well, according to the Dark Elf book, I don't even think Malekith was involved. It was I think maybe Malekith was involved, but a Dreadlord went out and killed an entire High Elf army with his army, who were going to go help Karl Franz kill some beastmen. And so the Dark Elves then disguised themselves to look like High Elves.
You know, so easy.
Yeah, and went to fight side by side with the Empire. But then as soon as the battle started, they turned on the Empire and attacked them. And so Karl Franz lost the battle. and was forced to retreat and was dragged away by the Reichsmarshal, Kurt Helborg, because the Dark Elves had the Empire completely surrounded. And then after that, you know, the Dark Elves were like, oh, okay, now we'll attack the Beastmen. And it was just this super cheesy thing that, you know, made the Empire look wrong.
Right, exactly.
And that's something a writer should never do, is try to make the lore of another book not work for your own just, like, jerk-off material.
Yeah, exactly, because, like, the 8th edition book for the Empire was one of the first ones. I think 8th edition...
I think it was... No, it was like the second one.
The second one, yeah.
Because Greenskins were first.
Yeah, it was Greenskins, Empire, and then Dwarfs, I believe. And I don't remember when Dark Elves came out, but they came out towards the end. Vampire Counts, I think, was the last one.
They were... Vampire Counts were before the end. They were moderate. But, yeah, the Dark Elf book was very late. It was the last of the Elf books.
Yes, yes. For sure.
And there were other big changes too, like Morathi had always been a chaos cultist. Now, it kind of swayed or changed exactly what that entailed, but she always was the founder of the Cult of Pleasure. And for people who are wondering, the reason Morathi has always been aligned with Slaanesh in that sense is because Morathi, the first thing we know about Morathi's existence was she was an elf who was captured by Slaanesh demons.
Right.
During
Cirrus.
During the Great Cataclysm. Yeah, Morathi was a Cirrus. She had great magical power and she could see the future and some other bullshit like that. And she gets
Tell time.
She gets captured by a bunch of Slaanesh demons. Anarion goes to rescue her, and he does. And I think this is after his wife died.
Yes, this is after Astariel dies.
Yeah, Astariel died, which her death was horrible. But I can get into that in a second. And so she goes, or he goes to save her, and he does. And the lore is very heavily insinuated that if any other elf had been in that position, the demons would have killed her.
Right.
But it was Morathi, and she struck a bargain with them because she was not above making bargains with demons, and that's a huge point to her character. Even in the 8th edition lore, is that she makes demonic pacts all the time, and that's how she learned how to. That's how she created dark magic. Was she basically, you know, fucked the winds of magic and learned some tricks from a few demons and created her own lore.
Quite literally, too.
Yeah, and so you have that whole thing of, you know, she's a Slaanesh cultist. She brings Slaanesh into the elven lifestyle, creates the Cult of Pleasure, causes, you know, Malekith to kind of go crazy, and she causes Anarion to become really cruel and sadistic because that's part of... Because Slaanesh is the god of excess, and Anarion literally just becomes really excessive and prideful and arrogant because he basically gets corrupted by Slaanesh because of Morathi.
Well, that and he also, you know, the Widowmaker being the Widowmaker.
He had Cain. Yeah, he had Cain and Shurin fighting over his soul, and the results were not pretty.
Dude, just kind of whispering down his back.
Because Cain's just a dick. Like, Cain is just a monumental dick. And so that happens. And so that's pre-8th edition. Now, 8th edition happens, and they've completely retconned it by creating these new gods of Hakardi and Hathardi. Are the two biggest new players. With Hakardi being, I think, the goddess of magic, and Hathardi being the goddess of pleasure? If my memory is right.
Which one's the one on magic?
No, it's Hakardi and Athardi. Sorry.
Yeah, because Hakardi's magic, because she gets all like up with trying to steal Cain's sigil or his ring, and that like falls down to Earth. So
they completely retcon it to now the elves are all just stuck in this constant. Instead of being their own race with their own destiny and their own free will, 8th edition comes out and says, how about if the elves were just forced to replay the same story over and over and over for all of eternity?
Tyrion Teclis.
Yeah, so the War in Heaven is the big thing of that. You have all these elves who are... All the heroes of the elves aren't actually heroes of the elves. Instead, they are gods who don't realize they're gods.
And,
you know,
you're talking about now that what becomes end times and how what's her name becomes the new goddess.
Well, and that's the thing, is that the 8th edition books were completely redesigned to set up the end times.
Which is so painful to hear.
Which is why they're so different. You know, so Morathi, instead of being related to Slaanesh, is instead related to Hakardi and Hathardi. And has this whole
exist.
spiel with them. Yeah, because Slaanesh doesn't play a part in the elves' backstory anymore. Which is dumb, because, like, each of the gods, like, kind of had a race they fucked with the most. And for Slaanesh, it was the elves. It was a really interesting story.
Right.
And so Morathi is instead this cult of pleasure, which is now Hathardi's cult, which somehow is not related to Slaanesh's cult, even though they're the gods of the exact same thing.
And Canis, what a god is not corn.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's old school hilariousness.
Right.
So in this mess, and then that's also the edition that gave us really stupid shit, like Malekith actually being the chosen of the Phoenix Kings.
Don't.
Yeah,
Oh,
which
man.
is insinuated in the 8th edition book, and some really stupid shit happens. Like, you know, the Battle of Finneval Plain.
Yeah.
Like the most, hands down, most famous battle in the entire world between the Dark Elves and the High Elves.
True.
Where Tyrion and Teclis finally go toe to toe with Malekith and beat him.
Beat the shit out of him.
Well, in the 8th edition Dark Elf book, what they say instead is that the following events happen. So the Battle of Finneval Plain, for anyone that doesn't know, opens with Poison, or I think it was it Shadowblade or Poison Blade?
Urian Poison Blade.
Poison Blade, who's dead, because he's about to die in the story. He goes out before Malekith's army and issues a challenge to the High Elves to see if anyone can beat him in one-on-one combat. And he's like Malekith's perfect creation at that time. So a bunch of really prominent High Elves go forward and get the shit kicked out of him and die. Then Tyrion decides to go and fight him, and they have this super epic duel, and in it, Tyrion gets kind of lucky and kills Poison Blade. Like, he literally slips and like on some mud.
And it's important. And it's important to know too that like Urian Poison Blade taught Tyrion and liked Tyrion. Like he like said, you know what?
Yeah, Poison Blade had been infiltrating Ulthuan forever.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually, his story, if you ever read the Tyrion and Teclis novels, Urian Poison Blade has a fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot more
story.
tragic and a lot more like interesting.
Yeah, so he fights Tyrion. Tyrion literally gets kind of lucky and kills him. And it's like this super awesome part of Tyrion's story.
Right.
And is basically the High Elves defiantly, you know, throwing shit in Malekith's face. Well, in the Dark Elf version of this story, according to the 8th edition novel, what actually happened is Morathi is watching them battle from a cliff.
Oh,
and because in this storyline, she is Hathardi incarnate, she believes that Tyrion is Anarion / Cain incarnate. So she's already in love with him at this point. And so in their version of the story, what actually happens is when Poison Blade goes in for the killing blow, she uses magic to force Tyrion to fall. And so she saves him and gets Tyrion killed. Tyrion's skill didn't have anything to do with it. And also in this story...
Damn you, Matthew Ward.
Yeah, and also in this story, it's shown that Malekith actually would have won the Battle of Finneval Plain, but for some... I don't remember exactly what the reasoning was, but a really bizarre reason, Malekith decided to send all of his elite forces back to Nagaroth and just left like a token force with a bunch of Chaos guys, allies that they had, and that was the army that fought at Finneval Plain, not Malekith's actual army, which is why the Dark Elves lost.
Which just kind of cheats the whole look. So in that actual fight, Malekith kills it's not Corhill, isn't it? The precursor to Corhill?
No, yeah, a bunch of really prominent High Elf characters die.
Yeah,
Malekith reaps a horrible toll.
Right, like he kills like basically like the leader of the White Lions, who also teaches Tyrion. Like between Urian Poison Blade and it's not Corhill, but it's a similar guy. Kills them both, and then Tyrion puts the slap down on him, and Teclis literally floats over the entire battlefield to initiate like a Harry Potter-esque mage duel with Malekith.
Right, and and Malekith gets Kamehameha'd at the end of the fight and throws. And in the canonical version of the story, or the version that I teach / tell, Malekith throws himself into the realm of chaos in horrible desperation because it's the only way he's not going to die.
Right, exactly.
In that fleeting moment.
Right, the William King version, the right version.
Yeah, and in 8th edition, it's this totally different thing about how like Malekith planned for it all along, and it's just these it's so cringy. It's hard to describe how cringy
Just
it is.
it's such a like vaudevillian twist with the mustache. Like, okay, come on.
It's like those ridiculous animes where like you'll see like the main character stab the bad guy, but it's not actually the bad guy. It's a fake, and he's right behind them, and he's like, you know, that's where I normally would say a Japanese quote from an anime, but I don't want to make myself. I don't want to embarrass myself by trying to pronounce Japanese.
A shameful display.
And so like, and that's something that people need to keep in mind when they learn about Warhammer Fantasy lore. And like something I try and teach people on the forum, or I used to try and teach on the forums before I gave up and went to YouTube, was that you can't just show up and say, well, my book says this, therefore is.
Right.
You have to read all the books, and you have to look at all the editions, and you have to get, or like at least 6 edition forwards, to get an idea of what's supposed to be going on. Right. Because there's always that one book that's just gonna like, fuck you, this is what actually happened.
Yeah, and that could be the one book that one person reads, and that's gonna color their perspective on it all.
Yeah, like if someone just reads the Dark Elf 8th edition book, I honestly would say they have a really bad idea of what the Dark Elves are.
They're skewed indeed, and that's why, like,
especially in Total War, because in Total War we got the old school Dark Elves.
Yeah.
Like
which is so good. They
did not use 8th edition Dark Elves. They used 7th edition Dark Elves, which I think is much better.
Happy
Malekith is back to being a badass and not a whiny little brat. Which he's a huge brat in 8th edition.
Oh yeah. Just so like, mom.
You know, Morothy is back to chaos and causing
Slaanesh and everything, Cult of Pleasure.
Awesome. Yeah, and so, God, this was a huge tangent to get around to my point. I am so sorry for that tangent.
Yeah, okay. That's the point of these podcasts, is to just have fun and talk.
So what I've seen playing through Warhammer 2 is that there's a huge focus on Slaanesh.
Mm-hmm.
And Nakari, I've gotten Nakari name dropped 3 times through my 2 campaigns.
Dude, but if we don't get Be'lakor, I'll shit on the game. I will literally pull my pants off and shit on the game. Be'lakor is the coolest demon prince of all time.
Thing. If Demons of Chaos come out, and they're actually a race like I hope they are, and they're not splitting them up by God, then Be'lakor is the only physical character who makes sense to be the faction leader, like the overall leader.
Open and shut case.
Because he's the only demon that exists who's neutral.
Yep.
He's undivided.
And I love him.
He is it. He is all there is.
And he is so cool.
Otherwise, you have to pick over each other, and that's not fair, you know? But Nakari shows up in the epilogue for the Lizardmen. He shows up in 2 different quests, and he shows up in 2 different quests you can get for the High Elves.
Right.
So Nakari is this weirdly huge presence in Total War Warhammer 2.
And he's the only demon of the Great Vortex to survive, too.
Yeah, I would not be super surprised with all the stuff I'm seeing, because I think it's honestly trying to hint at a DLC. I think... Unless it's hinting at Game 3, which just seems odd, but I guess that could be the case.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Like, that could be the plot of Game 3, is despite the fact the Vortex is secure, or as that's going on, the demons are like, yeah, fuck you, we've got our own plans.
Well, come on, man. All throughout Total War Warhammer 1, you've got the random event of growth and populace drop from Skavens.
Fucking Skaven.
Right? Like, a weird sigil, which is
Yeah, so it could be that it's alluding to... I do think it's alluding to the future, of that I think we're going to see Nakari as playable. Which, fun fact for anyone out there, this will be the first time ever Nakari is playable.
And we actually see him. Like,
Nakari does have an official form. If you played Warhammer Online, Age of Reckoning, Nakari was the final boss of the...
Touché.
Of the oh god, what dungeon was that? Avalorn, the Avalorn dungeon. There was a dungeon where the Everqueen was captured by the Dark Elves, and Nakari.
Oh, that's what the Lost Veil.
Yeah, the Lost Veil. There you go. Yeah, so if you go to the Lost Veil, you can fight Nakari, who's the final boss.
And she basically just kind of looks like a giant death hag, almost like. I mean, she's just a bat-winged death hag.
I have no idea what the model was. I never made it to that dungeon. That game's dungeon crawls were so fucking buggy. Yeah. It was just not worth it.
Sad damn day.
But I heard that her fight was insanely hard. But Nakari is like the ultimate. Nakari is the oldest of the playable demons. Like, you know, Kugoth Plaguefather, Kairos Fateweaver were invented in 7th edition.
Right. Right.
Scarbrand, I think, is pretty old.
I want to say 6th.
Yeah, I think he was around in 6. but Nakari has been around for fucking ever.
Let me see. I'm actually like, because he of course made it into what's it called? End Times. Scarbrand. What edition did you come in? God damn it, son of a bitch.
See, if I could tab out properly, I could pull up my army builder, which is a great program for anyone that doesn't know about it.
Oh god, it's so good. I guess maybe. I mean,
yeah, here we go. I got it pulling up.
I think, dude, I actually think he might only be in 8th.
No, he's in 7th as well. But man, that would be really surprising to me because Scarbrand is like he just feels old.
Yeah. Oh no, he was in 4th.
Oh, he was in 4th. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was in 4th.
Scarbrand's really old too, which makes sense. Because Scarbrand's been around in 40K and fantasy.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to bring up. He was in 4th edition.
Funny enough, he actually has a lot more lore in 40K than he does in fantasy. He's kind of like an extra in fantasy, which is funny.
We put him here because we feel like he should be.
Which Scarbrand, I love Scarbrand. The only character to ever actually hurt Khorne. He didn't hurt him, but he put a dent in his armor.
That's all. That's all that matters. It's just like Sanguinius put in a dent in the Emperor's horse's armor.
Yeah. Granted, he probably shouldn't have tried to attack Khorne when Khorne's back was turned, but still.
The bullheaded god fears no man.
Yeah. Khorne, that's why Scarbrand can't fly, because Khorne picked him up and threw him like a hacky sack, and he fell from the sky as a comet, and his wings burned up and were destroyed on entry, because Khorne was pissed.
Cue the whole entire beginning of Legacy of Kain's Soul Reaver, if you guys ever played that.
But so Scarbrand's really old and Nakara really old. Mm-hmm. So like they're my, you know, I really like Kugoth Plaguefather. He's probably my favorite of the 4, because his whole spiel is so goofy and just over the top. If anyone's never seen Kugoth, he's the only greater unclean one with a shooting attack.
Yeah.
Because what he does is he takes Nurglings, and he's an alchemist for Nurgle, so he creates plagues. And the way he tests them is he takes a Nurgling and he basically fills it up with a bunch of juices and pus and other horrible nonsense from his newly created plague, and he tosses it like a catapult into the enemy ranks and sees what it does. And that's his whole thing. It's awesome.
Father Nurgle with his lovely garden.
Yeah, but like 7th edition made me love demons the most, because in 7th edition they established the idea that, with the exception of Scarbrand, who was too crazy to pick to be reliable because he's, you know, insane, each of the other 3, Kairos, Nakari, and Kugoth, were chosen to lead the 3 most prominent invasions of the Warhammer Fantasy world, where Kairos was the one who led the invasion of Lustria, Kugoth led the invasion of the Dwarven Realms, and Nakari led the invasion of Ulthuan for the entirety of the Great War, the Great Cataclysm. And if you ever want to read some fantastic battle stories, the 7th edition Demon book is where it's at. Dude,
actually, those books they're so fleshed out with like the actual history of everything. Like
I will always say, hands down, 7th edition is the best edition.
You have
if
said
you care
this
about lore,
because you actually forwarded the lore as you've told me.
Yeah, well, and 7th edition had so much lore. The 8th edition books are practically smaller than the 7th edition books because they cut out parts, either for room or because it wasn't part of the advanced storyline anymore. Because 7th edition went with the assumption that the Storm of Chaos happened and failed.
I loved it.
Because Games Workshop was like, all right, we screwed up, and Archaon goofed.
Yeah, Archaon got
and then in 8th edition,
punched
they were like,
by Grimgor.
Poor Archaon. And then in 8th edition, they were like, wait, no, that didn't happen. But retcon. Yeah, you know, the saddest thing for Archaon is that a lot of people like give him so much shit for that. But if you actually read like the final battle between him and Vultan, like Archaon's a badass in that fight.
All of his lore tells me that he's a badass. And, like I've always loved his lore and his
poor Archaon was literally dead on his feet when Grimgor walked up behind him. Like, people give him shit, but it's like, what is he supposed to do in that situation? He's like, he just defeated,
just non-responsive, gets kicked in the balls. Like, this is it. This is rock bottom. This is rock bottom as a Chaos Lord.
It's like he literally just defeated in combat without cheating the living avatar of Sigmar. And then the fucking biggest orc in the world walks up behind him. Like, what are you supposed to do at that point, you know?
I guess I'll just take my shot and deal with it.
Like Archon, you just have to imagine he was just sitting there. He's like, oh fuck.
Well,
And it's like, good job, Chaos. Way to make sure Grimgor didn't get to him, you dummies.
always got to have the
Or
the last laugh, or should I say kick?
I forget which Chaos Warlord was in charge of stopping Grimgor and failed. Crom the Conqueror was sent to stop. It wasn't Crom, because Crom was killed by Manfred.
Right, but wasn't he sent that direction?
Yeah, I thought he died in Sylvania though, because Grimgor came from the north. Not the north, but like the northern World's Edge mountains. I don't know. I'd have to reread the Storm of Chaos. I don't remember which direction Grimgor came from.
Yeah, I gotta look at it too, because I've got that book and I love that fucking book.
Yeah, but 7th edition was every faction had just had awesome lore, except for of course the Beastmen and the Skaven, who didn't get a book because Games Workshop was lazy.
We won't talk about that shit.
Yeah, that makes me sad because I would have loved to have seen the Beastmen. That's why for a lot of people, Beastmen feel so incomplete. Is because they didn't get a 7th edition book, so they missed out on like that super lore renaissance. And they don't show up as a main faction ever. They're always the bad guy.
The Beastmen get their first book in 5th or 6th.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there were Hordes of Chaos up until 6 when they became
Warriors and Beasts of Chaos and Demons of Chaos.
Yeah, they didn't even get a quote unquote Beastman book until 8.
Right. They were just called Beasts of Chaos.
There was 5th edition was the Hordes of Chaos, 6th edition was the Beasts of Chaos, and the 8th edition was the Beastmen.
Which is so crazy to know, like to watch.
Yeah. And like I feel the most bad for because they're literally just used as bad guys in all of the Black Library novels. Like Skaven, sure, Skaven didn't get a 7th edition book, but Skaven have an assload of lore.
Oh yeah,
like, they have tons of lore because they're super interesting and fun.
And they're the background of like every single other lore.
Like Thanquil has like a fucking set of novels. I think he's got 4, and that's not including him and the Gotrek and Felix
and the End Times books for him too.
Yeah, and he does his own, which is weird because he doesn't show up in that book very much.
No,
they call it Thanquil, and yet I think the most popular character in it is like Queek and Icket.
No, seriously, because Thanquil, the End Times book for Thanquil actually covers more Queek and Icket and Belagar and the whole entire like war with the dwarves, and then just so happens to talk at the very end about Thanquil and Skrulk and Lustria and the Lizardmen. Like,
like Skrulk features pretty well, though he's not the main Pestilence character, which is weird. It's this other guy who dies, and Skrulk ends up taking over. So you have Skrulk features a decent amount. Thanquil does the invasion of Nuln, which was a pretty interesting fight. But that's the only fight he participates in the entire End Times, because the 5th book they retconned that Thanquil was dead, which makes no sense because he got a brand new model.
Yeah.
Which it was bizarre as fuck. Then that's why the End Times are bad, kids. Anyway, so because even from book 4 to book 5 they didn't have consistency in the lore. Like Queek had a huge amount. Yeah. You basically had him winning Carrick 8 Peaks and then getting killed by Thorgrim, which
then Thorgrim gets killed by Deathmaster Snikch.
Yeah, which was bullshit, I'll say.
And then Queek kills Belagar, Thorgrim kills Queek, then Snikch kills Thorgrim, then who kills... Isn't Gromby... Who kills Snikch? I can't remember.
Nobody. He never shows up again.
I thought there was something that tied that knot, that like ended it in the dwarf's favor.
There might have been... I think it was Andy Hall... I forget which writer it is. I think it's the one that's actually working on Total War Warhammer. But one of the Black Library writers unofficially was like, I have an FAQ board, and people were like, what happened to this character? And he basically just threw out crackpot theories about.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And that's where you get stuff like Gorok. That's where Gorok and Nakai died, was in that sort of Q&A thread. That's where Cetra fought Kolek Suneater and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, and won. Yeah,
and so like people like, I don't consider it canon. I consider it like an acceptable theory. But
it's like a cool errata, like a cool way to I like this.
Yeah, some of his stuff is a little weird. But
Andy Hall's kind of known for that.
Yeah, like his Gulroch. Someone asked him about Gulroch, and his death was really bizarre. But man, there's a character I really want. It's Gulroch. The Warriors
Chaos Dragon.
if Warriors of Chaos got Galrach, I would scream like a little girl. Like, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. Because,
Well,
like, sure, Kolek's cool, but Kolek's not a fucking dragon wizard.
with 2 heads.
Yeah. The first Chaos Dragon. Come on.
How can you
He's
not?
the first one. And he's a fucking wizard. He's a lizard wizard.
Which you can't say 5 times fast.
No, you can't. But, he's like the Slon, but he's good in combat.
And has 2
So
heads.
it's like,
and isn't
imagine-
fat. And isn't Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah. It's like, imagine if you had Mazdamundi and Zlak, but that's what you started off at as level 1. And you could fly. And you could breathe fire.
And you
Fucking
had a Chaos Warrior on your back.
Yeah. Well, not Galrach. Galrach is too good for that.
Well, that's right. He was a model on his own.
Yeah, Galrach was completely solo. He did not have a rider because he would not suffer anyone to ride him because he was too proud.
Fucking dragon.
But I would love to see Galrach, but he would be hard to do because like his whole thing was that he's a complete badass in every way. But one of his original heads sometimes attacks him.
But that's just like the Ogre Magi in Warcraft 3. They can't decide who fights who, and they fight each other. I love it.
Yeah. Poor Galrach. His story is actually super sad. If you're ever bored and you want to read something that'll make you sad, read Galrach's story.
Anytime
the first Chaos Dragon did not want to be a Chaos Dragon.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime a dragon gets corrupted is no fun for me. Like watching Game of Thrones is just no fun for me.
Yeah.
But
there are some of them who are just dicks.
Well, yeah,
Flame Fang was a dick and was always a dick.
That's a dragon.
The one
It's a
that
noble
Archaon...
beast, It's a Sean Connery. I am the last one. Like, no one wants to see that. But I think
Flame Fang is probably my favorite Chaos Dragon besides Galrach. That's the one Archaon had to kill to get the Eye of Shirian.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a dick.
I have Ed Sheeran.
Because he was such a badass that like Cathay was terrified of him. And anyone who knows Cathay, like Cathay is a major fucking power in the Warhammer world. They casually wiped out like 90% of the ogre race because they didn't like the ogres.
The ones that were supposed to win for the old ones.
Yep. But yeah, 7th edition's really good. If anyone out there is ever like, I would like to read army, like I would always recommend doing Black Library before army books because army books are very expensive now because they're out of print.
And if you need any of the army books, let me know. I've got them all as PDFs.
Yes. Though don't tell Games Workshop he said that.
Yeah, because I don't actually have them as PDFs. I have them as magical things. So let me know.
I wonder what their stance is on that nowadays.
I don't think they care anymore, man.
Because Games Workshop's been pretty cool lately. Like they've been super chill.
All of the rogue traders are allowed to sell them at cost. So if I go to my local store, they sell me the old 8th edition and 7th edition books for $25.
God, I hate you so much. I would kill for that.
If you want any of them, let me know. I'll get them for you.
Yeah, we may have to do that because I'm missing. Well, it's not so much I'm missing. I have some very bad quality ones that I got near the end times. Like I got a Bretonia book and it's awful.
Well,
I bought it off Amazon. And I was like, oh look, it's in good quality, and then he sent it to me and like the front cover's ripped and there's marker all over it, and I'm like,
just crayon written on a page that says Bretonia.
Yeah, well, there was like I was so mad, and it was horrible because the Bretonia book is gorgeous.
Oh, it's so good. It's all like everything's written like stained glass looking. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book, and like especially the colored sections are really well done, and there was fucking like Sharpie on it. I was like, what the fuck, man?
The guy had to have had a kid.
Yeah, either that or he had it since he was a kid. I mean, considering Bretonia was like, we never got an update ever.
Not an 8th, nope.
I think Bretonia was invented in 5th, got an update in 6th, and that was the end.
Yeah, seriously. And I think actually that's probably a good place to end it because now you and I are going to start haggling on me sending you books. So
yes, and it's wow, I've been doing this longer than I thought. Okay,
yeah, we've been at it for 2 hours, man. You and I have just been destroying vermin.
Where does the time go?
It goes into a podcast for everyone to listen. But thanks for watching here today, guys. We'll have some more podcasts with some more people. Probably have Turn on one of these. I had talked to Inept General to do one. Gobble King and I want to do one on like the historical versus Warhammer stuff. Loremaster and I
need to meet Gobble King.
Oh, dude, then we can do a threesome. I mean, huh? So the 3 of us can do one. I'm more than down with that because I feel like I could just say one question. I'd let you two just go at it, and then I'll pop in with another question.
That might be fun. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Well, thanks for watching here today, guys. Have a good one and take care.